Welcome back to the lunch table, food for thought. I'm Nico Blitz. Make sure you hit that subscribe button just right down there. We're on all streaming platforms, and also check out our Spotify where you can check out music from all these artists that we interview on the lunch table, including these guys. I actually went on their Spotify, and they're actually one of the first people who actually have a description of what's going on in their life. So let me give you like cliff notes. Melodic hip hop / electronic R&B. That made sense. One's a multi-instrumentalist. Great verbiage. One's a rap vocalist. Also great verbiage. They've done songwriting and producing for Anderson .Paak's The Free Nationals, Terrace Martin, Far East Movement, and Big Crit. They have this project out right now that just released in January. It's called Escape. These two, who I've been trying to get since September of 2018, they go by the name of McKenna. What's poppin', y'all?
What up, man?
What up?
How's it going?
How you doing?
Thanks for that intro.
So we got Mike
Yep.
and we got Ken.
Yep.
So it's easy to see how McKenna,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it made
Got
sense to me
that.
while I was like, oh, well, if those are the names, just the combination of their names makes
You're
sense.
actually the first person that actually got that,
Yeah.
right?
Really?
Yeah.
Like, could pronounce it
You
right?
pronounced it right, yeah.
I mean, I thought it was fairly easy when I saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people just think on a different echelon.
Yeah.
I'm just playing. But yo,
Are
no,
you
for-
able to hear us on it? Or
Yeah.
how far
Yeah.
can we
Is it-
be?
yeah.
in
Let's
order
see.
to-
Is it
I just
pretty
wanna-
close?
that's
Check
cool.
1 2. Check
Here,
1
let
2.
me. Yeah.
Gain,
Yeah.
gain up.
Check
There we
check
go.
check check
Check,
check check.
Yeah.
Check.
Let's see.
Is it good? I think it's pretty
Low,
low.
up, up.
We on the bottom?
I just speak hella loud.
Okay.
That's
Check.
probably why the
Check.
Yeah.
Yo.
There we go.
Yo.
All right.
Okay.
So we gotta
We
get
good to
pretty-
go.
Pretty close. All right.
We're still using all that audio though.
Okay.
I ain't cutting all that out.
No, it's all good.
But yeah, like I was reaching out to you guys back in September. I think I was in contact with your manager, and unfortunately, like it just couldn't come to fruition at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's all in good due time because now you guys actually have your debut album out.
Exactly.
I listened to it front to back, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Sonically cohesive throughout the entire project, and one of my favorites to come out this year.
Oh,
man.
wow. Thank you, man. Appreciate it, dude. We worked a pretty good amount of time on it, right? Like, how long was the collective amount of time?
Year and a half.
Year and a half?
Year and a
Yeah.
half.
Year and a
Yeah.
half.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was a process. man. But it was just like over time, we were just like, all right, this song is for the album. We got to keep this for the album. And we would write and keep experimenting and then kind of start setting things aside. So about a year and a half, and finally, yeah, that was the next big thing is let's just drop a debut album and then see where it goes from there.
But yeah, because I think back in September you guys released Us,
Yeah.
and that
Oh,
was
yeah.
the first song that introduced me to you guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
and
good.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just going back to your guys' sound, like it sounds very '80s inspired, and I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's all
Yeah.
thanks to your producing,
Oh, yeah.
Ken.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%,
absolutely,
dude. I
man.
mean, that's really what I think inspires a lot of, I guess, the instrumentation. It's just the sounds that I'm making is all from 80s synthesizers and old vintage gear that mixed with a lot of the modern shit. So, because I came up on all different types of music, so the production, you know, we're really into that retro future feel.
And are you like actually using old school equipment?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I applaud
Absolutely,
you,
man. Yeah,
I applaud
it's,
you.
It's fun. I mean, it's not to where I want it to be at yet, but it's always evolving and growing. And I think one of the big things I've been really more motivated to do is just try getting old gear and implementing it with some of the new production.
I think this kind of goes with the conversation we were having right off camera. But like, you know, as a DJ, just getting that authentic feel of what a turntable feels like and even getting that crackling sound you can
Sure.
only get on a turntable. So when I'm in the booth with certain producers and they're trying to like grab that 80s sound through like some pack,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's a
Yeah.
lot different than actually working on the machine.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not just it's the character of the actual machine. Like every kind of analog piece of gear is different. They all have their own little quirks to it,
Yeah.
and it's never exactly the same. Where Digital, you're really dealing with a bunch of zeros and ones, which, you know, it's always going to be exactly the same. There's no room for imperfection.
Yeah.
And I think that's what gives it a lot of that character and that human feel, is when you can take that analog feel and you know, play it soulfully, you know? And that's really what, instead of sitting and programming things, which is cool too, but being able to actually play these instruments, you know, and design the sounds on the actual unit is just more, it's more hands-on. It's more, you know.
And I feel like it's more fun that way. Like it just, like it genuinely just feels like you guys have fun when you make your music.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Bro, I'll walk into the studio because we have a space out in West LA, and Ken's a gearhead, so he collects a lot of, you know, he's always on the hunt. For old '80s equipment and stuff, but like I personally I don't know too much about it because I'm not too technical with electronics in general. But I'll walk into the studio and he'll be fucking patching shit like through a pedal, like a sound through a pedal through like, and it just be in there.
He just knows what he's doing.
Yeah, bro. It's fun.
Experimenting.
Yeah. It's really fun to watch.
Well, I think, you know, you guys really create a perfect unison with each other, because between the sounds I was hearing from you, Ken, and Mike, the way you rap, it just sounds like you have so much of an old soul to you. Like you make hip hop sound like golden age hip hop sound new.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you.
Dope.
Yeah. We grew up in LA. Both of us were natives here, but Ken grew up, I think, North Hollywood, not too Van Nuys, sorry, not too far from here.
Okay.
And I grew up in Koreatown, so you know, LA music in the 80s and 90s, well, more so 90s and 2000s, really had a big influence on us. So yeah,
who are you guys listening to? I'm always genuinely curious about that when it comes to other beings.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you start.
Me?
Yeah,
I mean, right now it's a mix. I think it's really about the things that I'm influenced by throughout my entire life, you know, and it's not really just what I'm currently listening to, which I'm always trying to listen and find new music. I love trying to discover something new and good. But, you know, growing up, I was in a music household. My dad played guitar and he was in like a classic rock band. And he's from Thailand as well. So there was like Thai music. There's
That's crazy.
you know,
Wait,
classic
are you Thai
rock.
or no?
Yeah, half Thai.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
This is lit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, half Thai. My mom's Hungarian. So, you know, I'm a first generation American. You know, we come from different backgrounds. So I'm influenced by a lot of different music and classic rock. I grew up kind of playing drums with my dad to like Pink Floyd and the Beatles and Hendrix and stuff like that. And then, you know, growing up in LA in the 90s, it was like all about West Coast hip hop, Tupac and Snoop and all of that. And then I was really into the East Coast stuff too, Diddy, you know, Big Pop, Jay-Z, all of that. So, you know, throughout my life, I've gone through these different phases in my life, you know, as you grow up and you explore and then start listening to like more rock stuff, alternative, emo shit, you know, like I went down like all of these different phases because it's just, you know, when it's good music, it's good music. And whatever resonates with me, I kind of take little pieces from that and it kind of stays with me throughout my journey. And when I create, I try and pull out all of those different things that are inside of me.
You're like a true hip hop head, bro.
No, I mean,
like that's like the essence of hip hop.
Yeah,
you can just like pull from other things and make it sound like your own.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've always had joy in just like discovering new sounds too. So it's a mix.
Yeah. For me, it's kind of worked backwards for me. I started like with hip hop, obviously, and it started with West Coast stuff. It was like Tupac, Snoop, you know, Bone Thugs, and Corrupt and all that. And then, you know, it moved to the East Coast stuff, which was like Jay was one of my favorites, and Diddy, and like Slum Village, Little Brother, you know, that kind of soul, like De La Soul, you know, that kind of stuff. And then from there, as I kind of progressed, since hip hop is mainly from like soul records and sampled, you know, a lot of it made me dig more. And then like my parents, I just recently found, because they didn't really play too much music like in the household as much, but they loved it. I just didn't hear it because I was at school, I guess. But you know, I found these records, and she had my mom had a bunch of like old Diana Ross records, and
Damn.
Earth, Wind and Fire, and like a lot of soul records. So I've been listening to a lot more old stuff. You know, working backwards.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, I feel like that's how a lot of us end up doing it, though.
Yeah.
Because just for instance, right, last night when I was at my residency, this girl came up to me and she was like, "Hey, can you play this song if you have it?" I'm like, "What is it?" She's like, "Before You Let Go" by Beyonce. And I was like, "I don't have it, but let me see if I can download it." Downloaded it, and literally as soon as the first beat hit, I was like, "Wow, I know exactly where this is coming from."
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I forgot the name of the artist, but the song's literally called "Before I Let Go." And then even on top of that, there's this one song called "Your Mom's in My Business." And you know what I mean? Like, I feel like hip hop is one of those genres that kind of force you to go backwards and force you to look back, because they take like the way 90s hip hop would just sample everything. It's like, oh, but there's something that like directly influenced this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's a lot of eras, and I learned a lot just just on alternative and like '80s stuff through Ken, which he loves that era. So like I'm constantly expanding that palette, but it's fun just experimenting around different eras of music.
So then, how did you guys meet? Did you guys link on like some music stuff, or like what's the story behind that?
The initial time we met, it was through our friend. We have a mutual friend that I grew up with. His name's Ferris. He does a lot of video work now. He's also a musician. But I'd known him since I was like 10 years old. And we used to do music and mess around together and do videos. And he ended up shooting Mike's video back in like, when was that? 2014 maybe?
Oh, wow.
Something like that, yeah. And that was the first time I got to edit a music video. I was working at Apple at the time, and I was getting certified in Final Cut Pro, and I just asked Ferris, I was like, "Yo, you got any footage I can borrow? I just want to just get used. I'm trying to work on this certification. I just need footage to work with." He was like, "Yeah, I actually just shot my buddy Mike B's music video." He was like, "I can give you the footage. If it works out, great. If not, it's just for practice." And I ended up just chopping it up, and he ended up liking it. And then, we took it to an animator and got some animation on it, and really brought it to life.
What's this video called?
It's called
Q&A
Q&A?
by Mike B featuring Toasta.
Yeah, it's actually longer. It's 2012. I think it was
2012.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit,
it was
7
it was
years
back.
ago?
It was
way
it was
back.
far
I'm gonna
back.
look it up right now.
Yeah, so
I just want to see what like the screen card looks like.
Yeah. So it was just a quick, fun video that first shot and then I chopped it up, and from there it was like, we didn't connect musically. It was just we connected as friends. He knew I did some music, but at that time he was also working with Caleb Connor, who's with Anderson .Paak, doing a bunch of stuff with all them. They all had a collective, and my beats were I was just creating beats, making experimental shit. I wasn't really working with a bunch of artists. And
Shoot a lot of video though.
I was doing a lot of video stuff because that was kind of getting my foot in the door to the industry, and that's how I met Terrace Martin, and then got to shoot for Terrace Martin and followed him around in all these amazing studio sessions with like the best jazz musicians and producers and writers, and getting to be exposed with that. I use, the video skills as a tool to kind of get exposed more into the music industry. Even though I've been doing music for years, it's
Since when? What year in particular?
I mean, I guess trying to do it professionally, I would consider it when I graduated MI, which is 2007.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So we're talking a long time ago. So years, and it's like I've been pursuing, doing music, but I just was never with the right artist, or, I would experiment, and I couldn't really click with any vocalists as much, like I would do things and it'd be fun, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do. So,
Well, especially because I feel like your sound is very experimental, so it's rare to find somebody who fits on
Exactly.
your
Right.
particular sound.
exactly,
You know
and
what I mean?
that's always been kind of the struggle for me is just, trying to fit in a specific lane, I guess, but when we linked up finally, it was just like we were both on the same page with that, like being experimental.
Yeah, and basically how we, I mean, we said this before, but how we met was I was working at doing sales at like a startup in Santa Monica. And I'm never on that side of town because it's
Yeah.
pretty far up, right? So I'll come out for like a smoke break, and which to my car, which is like a block down. And just during that time, just happened to be that he was skating down the street. And I was like, what the fuck? What are you doing here, bro? And he was like, what the fuck are you doing here? I live down the street. And I was like, I work right down the street. And so we kind of took that as an opportunity and jumped the gun and got in the studio. And the first two records we kind of made were completely just different sounding in terms of sonically and just, it just clicked. And so we just kind of decided from that point on, we're like, you know what, let's start a brand new thing off slate, and that's how McKenna
Wow.
started, yeah.
Yeah.
Just extremely natural.
Yeah.
As soon as you said walking down the street with a skateboard, I'm like, hell no, that sounds like something that comes directly from a movie scene.
Yeah.
For real, man.
Yeah.
It was a time in our lives where we both were like transitioning musically and personally. There's a lot of crazy weird things happening for both of us that kind of caused a shift in both of our lives at that moment.
What crazy weird things would you be willing to share with us?
Well, one, my father had just passed away. He had cancer. It was a really rough time. I was like on a leave of absence for work, help taking care of him. And then, I broke up with my girlfriend at the time. It was just like, there was a lot of things crashing down at once. And then Mike's,
my grandma got into a car. She got hit by a U-Haul truck going to church in the morning.
Shit.
She was in a coma. And then also my job, that same job was shutting down their LA office. So they offered me to move to either Austin, Texas, or New York, which I was strongly considering at the time. But because that was happening with my grandma, I just, I was just like, and, Ken, we were working on this stuff. So we just we were both in places where we're just like, something needs to change, and I think we're very serious about taking it further. And I think that's kind of what fused, like, the will through
It's it's kind of like the old tale of when you get your back pushed up against the wall.
Yeah.
I think you and I were literally just having this conversation outside on the stoop where where things happen to you, you have two options. You can either fold or you say, fuck it, I'm just gonna find another way.
Right.
Yeah, that was the mentality at the time, was just like when we ran into each other, and it was like that moment where it was like, all right, let's just get in the studio, let's see what happens. You're right here, it's easy now, you could just come through after work. And as soon as we got in, like the first time, we just started vibing right away. It was like things clicked, and then we got to know each other more by talking about our influences, what things we had in common, and we started to just experiment. And originally I was writing stuff or trying to produce stuff for his album. He was working on a solo album, and I was just expecting, all right, let me just do a couple tracks on his album, So we did have a couple tracks, and then we made one song, which is on our EP called Can't Hold You. And after we made that song, we're like, wait, hold on, this is something completely different. It didn't fit with, what he was doing on the album, and anything that I was doing, it didn't really fit. It was just a whole new energy. So we're like, let's kind of shift and go this direction for a little bit. And then we made Ness, which is our kind of
It's a huge
first song that we dropped as McKenna, and it's actually our most popular song.
Bro, he played Nest the beat the first time, and I had no fucking clue on what to do with it because it was so sick, but it was such a weird pocket and like space, like because I normally don't sing. I come from like rapping, and so what's cool about working with Ken for me personally was that he just hit record, and he was just like, do what you want. you know. And usually I'm not used to that because I'll come with like bars and like pretty meditated stuff. But like the cool thing about working with Ken was he would hit record and he'd just be like, go. And then I just happened to sing because R&B's another genre that we both loved, and we hit a home button on, and like Pharrell and the Neptunes, and that's kind of where we.
Well, I think when you get a beat that I guess kind of forces you to want to sing.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
like it brings it out of you.
Right.
Because especially since you weren't able to do that on like previous beats, because let's face it, like in the 90s, like all the boom bap shit, like you'll have the Nate Dogg's of the world, but that's kind of like the one-off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, to
Rest
go
in
on
peace,
something
though, man.
as,
Yeah.
to have like as dynamic, but also as chill, like beats that you make, it's, again, just to like force you to like want to get that out of you is insane.
Yeah.
For sure,
I think
man.
that's where the electro or retro soul comes from, is
Well, thank you for the mint.
Yeah,
melodies
Yeah,
are melodies are what kind of grab you and what stick. Of course you could spit a fire 16 and like spit crazy bars and be saying some insane shit, but for people to really like latch onto a feeling, it's usually melodies that do that. And I think that's everything that we've created just comes from feel. That's the number one thing. Does it feel good? Sometimes we write shit without even lyrics. It'll just be mumbles, but it's like you're getting the feeling and the emotion out, and then through that you can identify what those lyrics will be based on that kind of first reaction to the music.
Especially since you have like the melodies already set, you kind of just fill in the pockets afterwards.
Right. And what's funny is because I've never worked that way, and what's cool about it is when you have two people in the room opposed to one person, you have a fuse of different writing styles and patterns and different just perspectives and approaches, and it's much easier because it's math by the end of the day. It's like there's so many bars that you need to fill up, and it's easier when two people are attacking that, and work at it together. So.
Because it's one thing to think that your music's like the hottest shit in the world, but if you can convince 2 or 3 people in the same room, like, oh shit, this shit's pretty hot, like then it's really good.
Yeah, you need that validation, man.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? But I think that the only caveat that really comes with that is, I guess, the repetitiveness that comes with like the feeling, because I think some people tend to use the same words over and over again when they're just like getting the feeling. So for you, Mike, like, I guess, how do you keep your blade sharp when it comes to just maneuvering through your verse?
Yeah, dude, that's a great question. So it's like normally, even with singing, when you first, it's like playing any instrument, right? Because you're playing chords and keys, and I learned this working with Ken, and I think Quincy Jones said it. But there's there's not that many amount of
12 notes.
It's 12 notes.
The same 12 notes in every song.
Right, in every song. So but it's really just about how you shift, and it's like playing sports too. When you watch a basketball player and watch Kobe or Jordan, it's just like little things that or the Warriors or Stephen Curry. But it's just the way you kind of you bob and weave through certain things to make it your own, and also sharpening my blade. I think because writing music is so internal, because it's emotional and stuff like that. When you have Ken, like, he'll tell me to sing something a little differently, like the same word, but it'll just be a little different, like the way he curves it, or it'll go up this way, or so. Like he helps me in that sense, and it's like you could go two ways. You could either be closed-minded about it and say, no, like I'm gonna stick to what I know, or if you want to get your game up, you gotta kind of figure it out and see what works.
Well, the only way to grow is really just to change what you currently have.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Shout out to us right now, man. This is the first podcast where we have 3 people in one frame.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's working. You know what I mean? I think it's working pretty well.
It's working. Nice. It's working.
What do you call it? As I'm listening through Escape, right? You talk a lot about being present.
Yeah.
That was the one word that stuck out to me throughout the entire album.
Yeah.
So why are you so like gung ho for being present and present minded?
Yeah, you know, it's one for one. It's we're growing up as in our. I mean, we're over 30 now, so it's like our whole lives we've been trying to work towards something, and it's like we're constantly, whether you're at a 9 to 5 or whatever it is, you're constantly just working, and you forget to realize all the things that you're working for along the way in terms of like that's kind of I come from like a divorced family, right, a broken family. So a lot of the times when you look at broken families or even families that do have money and of that nature, the thing that's really missing is members being present and just being able to fuel each other, and I think that's an important thing that we like. Family is a huge thing. I think all of us at Nana Lifestyle, which is our collective, a creative collective, is about. And when I met Ken, Sean, and Perry, I really gravitated towards that in terms of how they're always present. Like if there's a conversation going on, it's less than likely we'll be on our phones to.
Damn.
In between that. So just appreciating that. And also, I'm just a translator in terms of like our collective and crew and the people that we surround ourselves with, So it's like, I think we all align on that moral compass.
So are you like the person that everybody talks to about their problems and shit?
Hey, dude, make this sound cool on a record, please. 'Cause I'll supply the backdrop and you just...
Yeah.
But it all comes from that. I think that is something Mike and I both align on, and all of us, is that, really enjoying the journey, enjoying the process, not trying to strive just for the end goal, because you always feel like you're constantly chasing when you're doing that. And if you're chasing, then you're not living your most fulfilled life. Right. You know what I mean? So when you're present, and you're in the now, and you're enjoying the moments, and you're celebrating all the small wins with your team, and you're just, you make a good song, you have a great day, you wake up happy. That's what being present is about, and you win, if every day you already feel like that, there's nowhere that you have to chase. You know what I mean? You don't need to chase anything. You can just live in the now and enjoy it and reap the benefits of everything around you.
Right. Yeah, because I think I was reading this book, and it was saying that the past causes stress, I believe. Mm-hmm. The future causes anxiety. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. But the present causes happiness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's a great.
Absolutely.
Book.
And
what book is that, dude?
I will show you the book, right? I'm not even done with the book, but once I got to that point, I'm like, this is it. This is some fucking gems.
Yeah, there's some gems, probably.
Yeah, you took some notes, bro. That's what's up, dude.
Normally I don't take too many notes on artists because there isn't too much to say. Yeah. And then, I kind of just like maneuver my way through there. But again, the fact that you guys have like an about section makes it so much easier. I'm like, I can actually like ask these guys questions about shit that's in their bio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wait, another question. Sorry.
Yeah.
How'd you hear us?
How'd I hear about you guys?
How'd you hear the
So,
song?
Me being an Asian American in the music industry, like I'm very keen on like wanting to find all these dope Asian artists. So that's why it was interesting, Ken, when you were like, I'm like half Thai. I'm like, oh fuck. That's a fucking win.
Nice.
And Mike, what are you? Are you
I'm Korean.
Korean? Okay,
just full.
I don't want to assume.
Yeah.
I know. Anyways, but like for me, so I just remember probably around like August, right? August of last year, I got to interviewing 88 Rising, and I saw with the questions I was asking, in which like what does it feel like to be a Asian in the music industry? Because we go through that turmoil of, well, your parents want you to be a doctor, your parents want you to be a lawyer, but your parents don't. In Asian community, parents don't really push like the music and entertainment industry. Yeah. So once I got in that setting and like I really burned that into my head, I'm like, I'm gonna find all these fucking Asian artists. I'm gonna find all of them. So I think literally I was just on Instagram, your guys' name popped up, and then I found us, and I was like, yo, these guys are fucking awesome, dog.
Hell yeah, dude.
These guys are awesome. And shout out to Dan Boy too. Dan Boy is the one who actually connected this bridge from Hawaii. And for me, it's just really cool to see people in the Asian community like come together and create music because there's not a lot of us doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with that, man. Shout out to Dan Boy though. We got some pretty
got some
fire
with
records
Dan
with
Boy.
Dan Boy, bro.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, man.
Oh God, don't tell me that.
Yeah.
Now I want to hear the shit.
Yeah, but yeah, I totally agree with you, man. But for me, growing up, like my mom luckily didn't expect me to be a doctor or a lawyer. She just wanted me to graduate high school and get through that.
It's
So,
different in LA, man. It's different in LA.
But yeah, we're proud to be Asians. It's just when we first started, we didn't want to use that like as the starting card,
Of course.
on the deck. So what's beautiful about working with Ken and Sean and Perry, which is and Nana Lifestyle is
Is Perry Asian too? Because I saw his
Yeah.
last name's Nguyen.
yeah, he's full. He's Vietnamese, bro.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But what's cool is Ken, like he was talking about, he's worked at Apple for over 10 years as a creative. So he does photos, photography, video editing, Logic. He teaches that stuff, and
Oh, so you
and
fuck with this, huh?
oh yeah, dude. He's got all the tricks and hot keys for that. But Sean is an exceptional photographer. Like these are like honestly to me, unbiasedly speaking, are the best creatives that I've seen, and I've gravitated towards. So it's when we first started, we started like with an image that we took like down the street from the house. We just grabbed the gear, walked to like the spot where it had like LED lights and neon signs, and we just like took a mysterious photo, which was cool because like you couldn't tell who or what we kind of were. So I think that it plays a huge factor into the music, like focusing on the music instead of who we are and what we do.
Yeah. Because close your eyes. I don't know what you both are. Like when I listen to the music, I'm just feeling like, yeah, man, it's just
Feels
good.
good.
It just feels good.
Yeah, agreed, man.
That's the goal, man, is just let the music speak. And, we're not like completely trying to hide ourselves. Like we still, but it's really about letting the music and, everything speak for itself. The visuals, the photography, the videos, like all of that is our way of expressing ourselves. It's not just through the music, which is a lot of fun. Every time we do a music video or a photo shoot, it's just us. It's like our collective, and we brought in all of these amazing artists to come in and just help out and help us grow as independent artists without having a huge label backing us, and paying for all these videos and content, which you have to do as an artist. You have to always be on top of your shit. You have to stay active and always be working on something. And thankfully, we just have a collective of amazing, talented people that do a lot of different things that when it's go time, we all kind of Megatron that bitch and just fucking go.
That's how you should
know
do
what
it.
I mean?
Well, that's why now that you're mentioning that, I think I saw your music video a couple months ago. I forgot which song it was, but I just remember how colorful it was and how like well shot everything is.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, yo, like these guys are not just walking down the park. Like these guys know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like your guys' branding is so on point.
Thanks,
when I go to
man.
your guys' page, like it just looks like this vintage, futuristic 80s type deal. And I'm like, yo, I don't know like how these guys came up with it.
Yeah, I mean that's again. I mean, when we started, I think before we even released our first song, we already kind of had a lot of that laid out. We already had a full EP done before we even announced McKenna.
Yeah.
So we had the opportunity to start from scratch as a brand new artist. Mike and I, had our individual things going on, but McKenna was like this premeditated thing where we actually spent time curating the look of it and the feel of it, and for it to be kind of nostalgic and future retro, and the color scheme and everything like that. And that's kind of always just been the compass. So everything that we create, we always have kind of stick to that compass, and it all ends up having that same feel. And same with the music. We write a ton of different songs, but we know like, okay, this is McKenna because of that feel, that sound, that but it's all something that I guess we're attracted to that aesthetic. So it just comes naturally now, even without forcing to be like, we need to make sure we're future retro nostalgic, like everything.
It kind of just
It's
happens
just
now.
when we create, it just happens to be like that, you know?
So let me ask you this, Ken, because it's very rare that I have producers in here who are also very articulate. But like, what are your pre-ritual production, I guess, methods?
Pre-ritual, honestly.
Like, man, I need my coffee on the right side. My pen needs to be over here.
I know I'm not that OCD. I got a little bit of OCD, but to be honest, man, it always My days like have to start where if I have to like get some outdoor sun or just be outside for a bit. I bought a bicycle, so I'd like ride to the studio, you know, or I'll take a little bird or something. Those electric.
You're even on some healthy environmental shit right now.
No, I
too.
love that. I mean, it just feels good because our studio is like this box with no windows. So it's like when you're stuck in there all day long, it takes a toll on you. You don't know what time it is. You get no sunlight. So I always like to make sure I soak a lot of that in before the studio. And then by the time I get to the studio, you know, I've already had my coffee. You know, I've had some food, and then maybe smoke a little bit and either listen to music, or if I am inspired by a specific piece of gear or something, like if I got a new piece of gear, or, you know, every morning I actually wake up and I put on tutorials, like YouTube tutorials.
Really? Tutorials on what?
Just like mixing, recording, guitar pedals. I mean, not even just tutorials, but just videos of, you know,
Kind of like to
music
see if you
production.
can pick something up.
I'm always learning, you know,
Yeah.
everything is about learning, and I always want to grow, and I always want to, you know, do something better than I did the last time. So I'm constantly trying to get inspired by learning new things. So if I see something on YouTube and I learn something, I'm excited to go to the studio and try it, you know? Or if I buy a piece of gear, I'm going to explore everything about that gear, and I'm going to try all these things before I get started with something. So it all just, you know, I'm pulling inspiration from a lot of different places.
You know why I fuck with you is because you take the time to pick apart everything. I think nowadays we live in this generation where everything is just so fast.
Yeah.
And we see artists
Instant
pop off.
gratification.
Instant gratification. So everyone's like, oh, well, what is he using? Oh, Pro Tools. Oh, okay. If I get Pro Tools, I'm going to sound like this. What's he using? Ableton. Oh, okay.
Yep.
I need Ableton now.
Right.
And like there's just like so much anxiety that comes with like wanting to master something now, but it sounds like you really just take your time to learn the machine that way.
Yeah, I can pull it out whenever I need to. The point is yeah, exactly. The point is, like, when we're in sessions, man, like, I hate when I'm in sessions and I have to sit there and figure something out, you know, while everyone's in the room trying to vibe and you're just sitting here trying to figure things out. Now I'm at the point where it's like you get in a session and we can knock things out and we can keep the vibe going and flowing because I've already spent my time experimenting and figuring out. So now I can use that and be able to pick it up quickly when we're actually in a writing session where we need to just keep going.
Keep
you know what I
knocking
mean?
everything out. Yeah,
So
just make it bread and butter.
As long as I understand it and I feel confident in it, I could just it's just like adding something new to your tool belt. You know what I mean? Every time I learn something, now that's in my tool belt. And whenever that time comes, I can reach for it and grab it, and I'm ready to go. I don't have to search for it and be like, what tool do I use to fix this? It's already there.
Yeah.
You know?
My man. My man.
Yeah.
No, like on some real shit. This is like some very inspiring shit.
Nice.
Like I'm feeling that energy, bro.
Oh,
like
yeah,
for real. So you guys, that's like a huge list of people that you guys have worked with, right? I think the one that hits home to me is the Free Nationals.
Yeah.
Most in particular, especially because I had Anderson .Paak's engineer for Ventura and Oxnard come in here just last week.
Oh, dope.
You guys,
Wait, who?
Lola Romero?
No, I don't. She's probably a newer.
He or
Yeah,
she?
She? Yeah.
A little bit newer, I think, within like the past year or two.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so how did that relationship form?
Yeah.
And what song did you guys actually work on with them?
Yeah, so it was very early on, man. I think Ken and I both went to MI, which is Musicians Institute out in Hollywood. I went in '09. The same time, Low, which is Callum Connor, is the producer and DJ for the Free Nationals and the drummer. But how I met Breezy was through I don't know how I met Breezy. I don't know if it's through Dumb or I forget how, but we got in the studio and there was a song off my first album that Callum Connor produced, and we recorded that. And later on, fast forward, he became like his producer and main like engineer and stuff. So he worked a lot on the early on stuff like Venice and Malibu. And from that point on, that Free Nationals kind of all formed together, and they all lived together too in the same house.
Oh wow!
So we like Jose and Ron and Kelsey. They're all really good friends first and foremost. And so fast forward, we worked on a few different songs off their upcoming album. We're not sure exactly when they're going to release it, but there's a few songs.
Guaranteed you guys are on it?
Yeah, I mean, we'll hope so.
And are you guys like featured as producers, songwriters?
We're still, it's a lot of vocals, and we've done some production.
Mike's vocals are on the records.
On the records, and with Callum Connor, I mean, he's just a really good friend. We've known each other for a long time, so we have some songs in the tank where Ken both co-produced it with him, and we all wrote together. So, yeah, I don't know exactly which songs are gonna be out, but yeah.
Hey man, all I know is when that album drops, I'm like, I think that's Mike's voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You should be on there. So let's talk about Escape actually, because front to back, as I said, it's just very sonically cohesive, and I mean, I just love it.
Thank you.
I love it. So you guys said you were working on it for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Just about.
Yeah, it was the first song we did was actually the last song on the project called God Space, and we did that right before we went to Sweden, right?
Yeah.
It was Sweden. We got booked Sweden. It was our second show ever, and we got hit up by these girls. Ladies Love Hip Hop.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ladies Love Hip Hop. They booked us for our second show ever in Sweden, and we were just like, "What the fuck is going?" We had like 10 followers. It was like so weird that we were able to do that.
Followers?
Like, yeah, we were very early on. We had like 2 songs out at the time, but during that time, we also wrote this other song. So the first song that we made on the album was done years back, and then we ended up doing like a little Instagram video of it with the song in the background, and like as soon as we got back from Sweden, and then all these people just started commenting like, "What song is that? What the fuck is that?" And we just noticed how much how much traction there was on just that Instagram clip. But it didn't sound like the electro soul stuff we were doing for our whole EP that we already had that we needed to release still. So we're like, this is album quality material, stuff right here. This is way more mature. It's musical, it's more soulful. And so we had that in the can as kind of the compass again for the album. Yeah. So that song, again, back maybe two years ago, we did that. And then over time, what was the next song that we made? Was it
Us?
Us, probably. Yeah, it was Us, and then Rush. Yep. And we were all still in our apartment. They were in my apartment. Yeah. So that stuff most of our stuff came out, we did in the apartment. Yeah. And then we finally got a studio last year. And then from there on out, we were like, all right, full album mode now. We got the studio. We got all the gear set up. We were able to just have it streamlined, and we had 24-hour access to it. And we're like, okay, now it's time to actually sit down and focus. So we had those 3 songs kind of sitting, and everything that we made kind of fit around that. And it just evolved over time. And we initially wanted to do more records, but we narrowed it down to 9 just to keep it sweet. And really have a journey through the album. And like you
Yeah.
were saying, keeping it sonically cohesive, that was very important to us. So we decided that we wanted it short and sweet, but everything to kind of flow nicely.
Nicely, yeah.
I think you guys executed that as best as possible.
Thanks.
And I think it was after. I think it was like right after Escape where it kind of got a little bit darker.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, it felt like for me, it felt like it was going up, and then
it got dark.
it kind of like not that it crashed down, but like gradually went down to a point where I'm like, oh, well now they have this dark sound.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? It was kind of like a good reset button.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's kind of the intention with it is you know, pick it up on a high and you know, just take them through that you know, climax and that
it's
and
like
low part and then
you know, just like a film would, you know, and I think that's the great thing.
Just like a film.
It's like a film. It's
wow,
like a movie, bro.
wow.
Because the great thing about what makes my job easy is because, like, you usually for artists, like writers and rappers, like you go search for beats or you try to like make a beat that sounds like this or. But the great thing is, every time I would walk into the studio or the apartment, like Ken would already have this amazing soundscape, and it would just tell a story like on its own, like each record. And so like my job from that point on was just like, how do I, you know, translate this or emulate like the emotion that this record evokes.
Oh my God!
And so he makes my job a lot easier, you know, in terms of that. And I think the beautiful thing about each of the records on this album is that each one serves a purpose, and there are different elements that kind of make the greater whole of it, you know. So it's very hard to say which one's our favorite because they're all just all our favorites.
Well, because I think on some records you're a little bit more lyrical, and then there's other records where Ken just fucking kills. Fucking kill it, bro. Like so, you know, when you're producing, right? And I've seen maybe like 5 different tracks, 5-6 tracks max, and I'm like, okay, you know, whatever. But that usually ends up being on a loop throughout the entire project.
Right.
And so what really impressed me was in God Space, the last song. I think it started off with like maybe like 4 hits that you only used in the beginning, and then right where the chorus, and you know, whenever like the chorus hit, and I was like, why is it that people don't do this? Like, it's such a simple concept to grasp, but people just don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, song arrangements are just as important as, you know, the lyrics or the melody. So, you know, the direction that you're taking listeners on is important in production. You know, you can make an 8-bar loop and just keep repeating it, but people get fatigue. People get ear fatigue, or if they're hearing the same frequencies over and over, they're gonna get bored. It's just science. Like that's just how it works. And if you take people on a journey by pulling things out, bringing things back in, adding more, and then pulling things back out again, then the listener is never content. They're just
never
like,
bored,
oh shit, there's something else. There's something else. There's something else. So it's and Mike helps out with the arrangements too all the time. Like he'll tell me, oh, what if you drop that here or put this in here? And so that usually like we'll get a vibe going, like a 8-bar or 16-bar vibe where I'll just layer instruments on top and just keep playing, get some drums, lay down a bass, get some keys on there, get a little guitar, get a little plucky
It's like,
thing
Ken,
here.
I think 20 tracks is enough.
And then we could take that and then just start subtracting there.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, let me just have the bass and the synth right at the beginning, and then we can have it build up here, and then the hook has to have all the layers, you know what I mean? And then it goes back down to a fundamental, or maybe let's just switch the chords up a little bit after. So the arrangements really take the listeners on a journey, and I think that is the concept of Escape as well, is to take you out of the real world, take you into a space where you can just sit with it and you escape reality for a little bit by going on this journey. And that's why, like Mike was saying, we wanted it to be like a movie. You sit down, there's an intro, it puts you in a scene and an environment. You'll hear someone playing sax, you know, just in, and there's all this craziness going on. There's like rumbles and sirens and shit. And he's just in here vibing out on his sax. And then all of a sudden it just gets into this beat where Mike is just going off for like 32 bars, and it's just kind of like, oh, okay, where is this going?
Yeah.
And then it'll, take you through the rest of the story.
Well, also coming from like a DJ's perspective too, the fact that I feel like every single record was kind of like woven into each other. Like, you know what I mean? It
Yep.
like I think the first one ends on such a subtle note, and then you just feel that build up.
Yeah.
Building on track 2.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
I really fuck with the fact that you guys think of your album as an actual movie, not like oh, this is a movie, but like, you know what I mean, like
Right.
like you
Scenes
guys
and
see it like cinematically.
yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with the albums kind of we grew up on, like if you listen to Chronic, 2000, there's all the skits they have in between, or you listen to like a Pink Floyd record, which I've never listened to until I met Ken. And it's just, it takes you on such a weird loop of different emotions, which is great because it's like nowadays when I hear an album, it's like, it's the same type of feel or sound, or even writing, it's like the same type of things that they're talking about, which is great. But, the magic of having an album back in the day was like you had to sit with it, right? Because you had to go to, a Tower Records or like somewhere to buy a CD, and not everyone got to buy the CD. So you take that CD, you burn it, and then you flip it, or you
$5 a piece.
$5 a piece, or you borrow it or share it, and it really meant something to you during that time. And I think
you listen to
over and over again. So.
I feel like back then we had a lot more albums that had replay value, whereas nowadays it's like we'll get the hit,
right?
But then that hit is literally just there, and it 9 times out of 10 it sounds very out of place compared to the rest of the album.
Exactly, dude. And usually the hits and the singles are like what they push out. So it's like a lot of times when you dive into an album these days, it's like all the bangers are out again, and it's like the rest of it are kind of like fillers. And I'm not saying that in any disrespect, but it's just, for me to be stimulated musically, it takes a lot more than just songs. It's like cohesively kind of stitching and weaving that together, like you said, I think.
Exactly, man. It kind of reminds me of Jaden Smith's album. It was like maybe 20 fucking songs. But I'm like, you know what? Yeah. I'm probably going to listen to it again later on, but I can't go through like another 20. Yeah. But, just the fact that like I remember albums like that, and it makes me, like, I know I'm going to listen to it later on because I remember how just sonically different it was from everything. Again, can't have a tired ear, man. I listen to hip-hop. Like today's hip hop all day, and that's all people want to hear when I DJ. And I'm like, man, you guys are boring as fuck. But if that's what you want, that's what you want. So,
there's a time and place for everything, though, man. I mean, we like listening to that shit too sometimes, and sometimes we even make just ignorant ass bangers just for fun.
I want to hear those from you guys.
Just to be in that energy. I mean, we have some fucking bangers. Bro. But it's like, it doesn't necessarily fit with McKenna and what we're doing, which is why Mike and I are heavily focused now on just being producers and songwriters as well. And taking that, because we like making a lot of different shit. We don't like only making McKenna music, which is a certain style to continue that brand.
Wow.
So as we create, we want to, if we want to make bangers, we can dish them off to other people that it'll, get Drake. Drake, if you want a banger, dude, we got you.
Like, yo, they make records like this too?
Yeah. So, and because we have, it makes it so it's not stale, we like to just experiment. Sometimes we'll just sit down and, whatever we had planned, we're like, fuck it, let's just vibe out, let's just jam, dude. Let's just have a good time. And sometimes something really dope comes out of it. It may not be for McKenna, but we have a lot of shit that is just, it's going to get somewhere eventually. So
I think it's important to really just have fun while you do it, because, again, being present, we talk about that, is like constantly when you're working records, you're like thinking, oh, I'm working for this placement, or I'm working for this album, or I'm working for this EP, and like it kind of takes away from the magic of making those records and what can come of the now, and a lot. What's cool about working with Ken is he's like he has a grit line down to where it's like the workflow is cool because at the studio space we just have this mic, this SM58, where it's just plugged up with all the auto tune and wave plugins you need to sound good.
Yeah.
And it just feels different because your handheld is a handheld mic, and Ken will be, you know, either on the drums or the keys, or, you know, he'll have a loop gun and he'll just jump from here and there, and then it makes you also want to jump and just play shit. If you, I personally don't know how to play piano, but like I know how to hit, you know,
chopsticks.
Yeah, you know, and he allows that, you know. I think that's a cool thing because, you know, I think the best records come from like being vulnerable, you know.
Amen.
You know, and I think
Amen.
that's important. Yeah.
Like, knowing how long you guys have been in the game, to me, this feels like a very authentic conversation about music, which I don't have with many people.
Oh, nice.
Because a lot of the artists who I end up interviewing on here, like, you know, they've been rapping for like 2 years, 3 years, you know, within a 5-year range. But seeing as how, like, I mean, Ken, you've been doing this shit for like over 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Over 10 years too. And it's kind of like, for me, I'm kind of like, yo, I fucking love this shit.
Yeah.
We're talking about like a whole bunch of music, man.
Nice. Yeah, man.
God, I don't even. Oh, what I wanted to ask you guys was, so I think the biggest groups in hip hop ever, right? Outkast, Migos, from the Bay, SOVRVE, right? But obviously Outkast like split up, and I remember like watching this interview from the radio station where I think Offset was just saying that the reason why they feel like the Migos is the biggest group is because they just haven't broken up. So I want to ask you guys, like, I guess, where do you guys bump heads? Because you guys can't be like all perfect in the studio. I'm pretty sure you guys bump heads every so often.
It's pretty rare that we bump heads, man. I think what's cool, I think why we don't bump heads is our intention of why we make music is not for, you know, the money or the recognition, notoriety, and it's not really for that, because we started at a place like when we were vulnerable, and we're going through a very personal time, both individually and music wise, and also what's cool about McKenna, I think, is aside from McKenna, we're Ken's MIKNNA, and I'm Mike B, right? So it's like we have different tastes and different types of music and things that we want to do outside of it. And McKenna is we treat it as if it's a passion project more so than an artist, because the reason why I think a lot of groups and bands break up is because there's all these different wants and things, and as time goes and as, you know, success comes and all that, it gets misconstrued along the way, because, you know, some people might want to do things this way and that way, but when you keep that band as more of a passion project, which we love, like Daft Punk and Frank Ocean and these types of artists, where it's like they'll pop in and out once in a while and drop an album and do that, but then they also protect their personal lives, and I think we're both really big on that. You know?
I think we just both have a lot of respect for each other and what we're doing, and it's like if we aren't vibing on something, then we're gonna just move on to the next thing. You know what I mean? We kind of understand each other to the point where it's like, you know what, today we're not feeling it. You know, so we're not gonna force anything out, and that's what makes it consistent, is that we just continue. We know how to read each other. We know how to read the room. You know what I mean? We're both very, you know, intuitive, and you know, I think there's a lot of just respect for each other that allows us to just do it for fun and let the record be the biggest ego in the room. You know what I mean? It's not about me, and it's not about you, and it's not about what's happening. And if there is something going on, we talk about it and what's going on, and then let's write about it or something. You know what I mean? So it's there's that teamwork side of it, and you have to just have respect for the person you're working with and their craft. And we're both willing to always try things as well. We don't bump heads where we're like, nah, that's not my range, or that's not what I feel like. Like, we'll openly try it and laugh at each other if it's whack. You know what I mean? That's it.
At least you tried it.
But we try it. You know what I mean? So, and when you don't have those egos in the room, and you're able to just, you know, feel like you're in a comfort zone, in a safe environment, then you could just completely be yourself, and no one bumps heads or anything. You know, there's no room for that. You know, we're not here to do that.
Exactly. And I think we all want the best for each other personally too, not just music wise. You know, in terms of, you know, Ken just got a nice little whip. You know, in terms, you know, and it's little wins and things that we all celebrate with each other. And I think it doesn't have to be always music related. You know, music is definitely the underlying thing that connects us all, and it's a great way for us to escape and from our day to days.
Nice plug.
Yeah. Album out now. But I think again we're just all friends and we're family, and I think with family it comes with a lot of it comes with patience and unconditional love and understanding each other and communicating, like Ken said. So I think that's a big
And
thing.
we're all busting our asses to make this shit happen.
yeah.
So we have that empathy of it. It's like, dude, we're all taking a fucking big risk by pursuing this goal and passion. So when you understand that, you have empathy for somebody. So if like we can't make it to a session or we have to go and take care of something else last minute, it's just like, cool, you know what I mean? Like we're still living our lives and respect each other's lives. You know what I mean? Because that's what's important. Again, goes back to being present. Like it's, you know, it's not about the end goal. So why are we stressing out?
Right.
You know what I mean? There's no point in stressing.
If it's not about the end goal, like what is it like for you guys?
The end goal,
or like if it's not about like if the grand scheme of things isn't about like the end goal, whether it be like success, Ken buying 10 more whips. You know what I mean? Like if it's not about that, then what is it about you guys that make you want to keep on doing it? Keep on being
I think
McKenna?
you know, there's fulfillment in that feeling you get when you just make something really fucking dope that you're super proud of. Like that feeling that we get in the studio when we know and we're like vibing out, and you know, you can't wait to wake up the next morning and listen to it again, and just like those are the feelings that I think really I work for, is just like, you know, that fulfillment of creating something from nothing and being able to just, you know, let that be the thing that drives whatever else is going to happen. You know, it's like we're not trying to plan so much that, you know, it's in the moment things.
It's like holding like a secret. You know, it's like when you make a record or you know, you're in a room and you create anything, whether it's like an app or whatever it is, you're creating it with a certain amount of people, and you guys are the only ones in the room that know it. You know, and there's something magical about that. You know, and for me at least, I think I love seeing, you know, the people you surround yourself with like strive and be better, and I think if I can be a tool and I can help towards that in any way, shape or form, that's kind of what I do it for. And I think we all do that too, you know, for each other. And also it's like, it's not like, for instance, we always talk about this, but it's like, you know, vacation, right? Ken brought this up and I was like, damn, that's great. But we were like, dude, vacation is really just a mind state, right? So like, you are from San Francisco.
Yeah.
We're from LA. But if we went to San Francisco, it's foreign to us. It's new. So it's like, and same goes for you. If you come here, it's foreign, it's new. But it's like, we both live on the Gold Coast. So it's like, people come and pay money, pay lots, like hundreds to thousands of dollars to pay for airfare and buy, you know, hotels and, you know, do things that we normally do on a day-to-day. But it's the mind state that they're on vacation. So they're present. You know, when you go on vacation, you drop everything you're doing. You don't pick up no phone calls. You don't do anything. You soak it in. You get some sun. You get coffee. You smoke some J's. You know, you just let it roll. And I think, you know, if people kind of practice that more, and even for us, like I think that's something that we're working on is you're on vacation every day. You know, and you got to protect that. And Ken said that the other day. I was like, holy shit, that makes so much sense, dude.
Very true, man. You have to really just switch yourself into that mindset, because let's say, you know, if you close your eyes right now and you close your eyes on an island in Thailand, you still see the same thing. It's just black, right? You don't see it. but everything else around you changes, right? So you can have that same mindset when you wake up in the morning. You can wake up and just be like, I'm in, I'm in Bali right now. That's how I feel. And you're going to feel the same way. So when you can trigger that mindset, you're able to enjoy life a lot more. You know what I mean? That's why people wear flowered shirts.
Yeah, bro.
People wear, they want to feel it. That's why people drive drop tops, or people get things that make them feel that. Is like, there's no reason why we all can't wake up every day feeling like we're on vacation. It's a mindset. Yeah. So as soon as you could trick that, then you feel everything else falls into place. You're just doing what you want to do. You're not doing what you feel you're forced to do. Yeah.
Boom.
That's it, man.
Drop a flex bomb on it, bro.
Yo, we found the whole fucking gold mine.
Yeah.
Fucking gem. This is a fucking gold mine, dude. Oh my god, you guys have no idea how fucking mind blown I am right
Nice.
now.
Dude, yeah.
Seriously.
Thank you, man.
Wow, you guys got me stunned. For real.
In a good way.
In a really good way, man. And I think after listening to Escape and actually getting the chance to meet you guys and talk about how you guys move on in everyday life, it makes Escape that much more powerful to me. Because it now makes me feel like Escape is about going on that vacation mode every single day. And really just enjoying what's going on with yourself and the world presently around you.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it, man.
That's very true, man.
You got it, dude.
Yep, got it, bro.
Hopefully other people can feel that, but I think those are the layers that I think you're going to start peeling back all these layers in the album, and I think because we've spent so much time on creating and curating and having the story and the concept, it's not all out there at first, but when you start to learn about it, you'll start to peel back these layers, and I think you'll appreciate it more. So
Onions, bro, make you cry.
Damn, onions. I got to use that as like a reference for like any album that make me feel some type of way. Like, that album was onions, bro.
Onion, bro.
Shit was an onion.
Yeah.
McKenna, this was an amazing podcast. At least from my opinion. I don't know what you guys think. But you know what I mean? And, I highly suggest everybody check out Escape, man. So where can everybody find you individually and also McKenna?
So for McKenna, you can find us on Instagram. It's MIKNNA, so it's spelled a little different, but you can find us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, like wherever. It's all the same. And then MIKNNA. All right. So yeah, that's where you can find us. YouTube and all that. We have some videos out there you could take a look at. But I don't know. Is there any other platforms?
Shout out to Nana Lifestyle.
Yes.
You can follow. That's our collective.
Yes.
NANA, Nana Lifestyle. And then my personal is Ken Nana.
Mine's Mike Beasy with 3 E's. A little complicated. But yeah.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy, bro.
This is The Lunch Table. Food for thought. I'm Nico Blitz, McKenna, Mike B, and Ken Anna. No, Nana. Ken Nana.
Yeah.
We are out, everybody.
Thanks for having us, man.